Before that, Tom and Sonia are here. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Talking through our top stories. The first one is all about benefits. It seems like you can earn more on benefits than you do in an actual job, Tom.
This is a hypothetical benefit claimant, as cited by a think tank, which says if you're on universal credit, if you're on personal independence payments, and if you get housing benefit, you could earn slightly more than the average earner does on the national living wage. How many people are actually in that position? Very, very hard to say. Possibly 50,000 to 150,000 people. Point is, in principle, should you be able to earn more than someone who is at work if you are not working? And that is the principle that is being looked at and, in a sense, attacked by Kemi Badenoch in a speech later, where she will say this is part of the reason why the benefits bill has to start coming down.
I think it's if you are a full-time worker paying the national living wage, you earn £22,500 a year, Sonia. And the case that Tom's just set out, in theory, that person would be on £25,000 a year. So where's the incentive to actually get off benefits and go to work?
It's not actually a very fair comparison, though. Okay. So first of all, the person that we're talking about is disabled.
Has the PIP payment.
And that means they get this payment called PIP, which is a payment from the state to help you cope with the extra costs of having a disability. And, you know, some of the things we're talking about, for example, you get this payment if you can't wash yourself below your waist independently. So then you need to start employing people to help you with that. So it's not comparing like for like. The other thing is that housing benefit, you don't get that in cash. That goes straight to pay for your housing. So I do think we need to be comparing like for like more than this example. Let me just finish though. The thing I will say is that I don't think that the issue here is the levels, because actually benefits have been getting much less generous over the last 15 years. The real value of benefits has gone down. If you're a low-income working parent with kids, for example, you're getting much less financial support from the state than you were in 2010. Okay. That's one of the reasons why child poverty has gone up. The reason why the benefits bill is going up so much, it's the number of people who are claiming. And that is where there is political consensus. We've got too many people now who qualify under the system as not having to work because they've got a disability. There's been a huge spike in mental health conditions, and both parties agree we need to bring those numbers of people down. So I don't think it's about the amount we're paying people, because some of the extra costs of having a disability for people who are genuinely disabled, they're high, and we wouldn't want them to be saying to them, well, actually, someone without a disability earns this much on the national living wage, so sorry, you can't wash yourself below your waist. You've just got to cope by yourself. What we do need is more people who are on disability benefit to be working, because that's better for them and it's better for the taxpayer.
So the number of people claiming PIP has more than doubled since the pandemic, from 13,000 to 34,000, roughly 1,000 people signing on every day, largely driven by a sharp increase in claimants citing anxiety and depression as their main condition. That's up threefold since 2019.
I think this is ultimately going to revolve around a very, very difficult question, which is politically pretty toxic and very hard to answer, which is, what do we mean by disabled? The person who can't wash below their waist clearly needs support. People who will never be able to work in their lives clearly need support. There are people with very, very difficult conditions, degenerative conditions, who clearly need support. But are payments going to people who are now brought into the scope of the welfare system, who in days gone by probably wouldn't have been? Is that because we're a much more generous, understanding, tolerant nation where people can expect to receive something from the state if they have forms of anxiety or depression? Or is it a sort of mission creep of, actually, we're going to bring you into the fold, and there is an expectation that because you are anxious or OCD or something, that the state can and should be providing for you too? And I think that's it's really, really difficult, but I think we're going to need to start getting to it.
Keir Starmer was trying to find £5 billion worth of cuts, wasn't he, to the welfare bill? And he sort of launched the welfare reform, and of course that got watered down and watered down and watered down.
And then just ditched altogether.
And still 47 Labour MPs voted against it, even despite all the changes.
And I think the issue with Labour's proposals were that they just kind of impose these cuts across the board. Well, not quite across the board, but they were definitely going to mean less money for people who are genuinely disabled and can't work. And that's why a lot of Labour MPs had an issue with it. Now, Labour's issue is, so there's political consensus that you know, like Tom says, there are some people who really should be in the workplace because it's better for them and better for taxpayers. And there are probably some mental health conditions that are part of that. The real issue is that it's hard to save money from the very get-go because you actually need to spend a bit of money up front on supporting these people back into work because, you know, these people aren't sort of people who are deliberately trying to sort of, you know, to sort of hoax the taxpayer. They tend to be people who, you know, they may have been like in their 20s, they sort of fell out of work during the pandemic, their doctor signs them off, they get put on these benefits, and they're essentially kind of being put on the scrap heap by society as well. So these are people who are going to need some support services to get back into work. And this is a conundrum for Labour. Everyone agrees they need to save money in the long term, but can they save it without spending a bit more money in the short term to help these people get back into workplace long term? It's really difficult.
It's tough.
We want to hear your views on this story, don't we?
We certainly do. Are you working full-time but feel like you're worse off than someone on benefits? Maybe you're frustrated because you believe someone's playing the system when you have to work every day.
Or, on the other hand, have you had to give up employment due to ill health and feel judged? Have your say. Give us a call for 308 30 40 44. You can scan the QR code that's on the screen right now. Get involved in our free This Morning app. Try and get in touch by 12:15. We need you to be 18 or over, and we're sharing some of those thoughts and calls a little bit later on the show with Tom and Sonia. Now, we need to move on to our next story.
We do. It's vitally important.
It's a really, really sad state of affairs.
It is. British pubs could be closing at the rate of 1 per day. This is a warning from the British Beer and Pub Association, who says rising taxes are one of the factors. You leaned in.
Listen, we will rue the day as a nation that we lose this tradition of pubs, alehouses, inns. I think our forefathers will be spinning in their graves
It's
that
so
we are
ancient,
losing
isn't it? I mean,
a pub a day.
Yeah.
These are the modern-day cathedrals. You know, they are the place of relaxation, restfulness, rehabilitation, some punching. But they are.
What pubs you go to?
Yeah, sure.
Tom?
But they are. You know, think of all the amazing moments in this country's history that have revolved around the pub. We would not have discovered DNA were it not for the Eagle pub in Cambridge. The decisions around saving the economy during the financial crisis happened in the back room of the Rose and Crown pub in Oxford. You know, Prince Harry lost his virginity in the car park of the Vine Tree
Well, where would
pub
we be
in
without that?
in Wiltshire. You know, these are seminal moments in the life of a nation. And I just think, as our country becomes far more atomised and people live sort of separate, slightly individualistic existences, the pub is a shared national experience.
Yeah.
And the country, frankly, will have fallen if we do not man the barricades and protect the pub.
Two people that have taken this very seriously are the Thinking Drinkers, Ben and Tom. They've been on the show with us a number of times.
Yeah.
And they have recently been on a pilgrimage, morning, gents,
Morning.
around the country.
Good morning.
As a means of trying to raise
good man.
awareness for the Great British Pub. It's great to see, Ben, you've already got a drink on the go as well. More responsible
It's
from Tom.
non-alcoholic.
OK,
It's
of course
non-alcoholic.
it is. So just, Ben, explain a little bit about what the challenge that the two of you took on over the last few weeks and how it went.
Well, we've always loved pubs and we've wanted to save them. Not that they need saving; they're doing, in many ways, doing a great job. But we set off from Land's End to John O'Groats on a tandem, relying entirely on the goodwill and generosity of pubs. So we only ate, drank, slept, stopped, rested at beautiful British boozers up and down the land. And we filmed the whole thing for our YouTube channel. And we met some amazing licensees, amazing publicans. We had a wonderful time, but it just rubber stamped what we knew before, that how crucial pubs are to our community, our culture, everything that's great about this country. We tour our comedy show up and down the land the rest of the year, and so many of our towns and cities have become identikit places with the same high street brands. Pubs are what really differentiate places. They're independent, they're individual, they're bespoke, and I know the news is that one pub is closing every day. There are wonderful pubs out there doing wonderful things despite the costly burdens that are thrust upon them. And whilst a lot of them are surviving and doing quite well, they do need some help from the government, and they're being just hit with so many taxes and silly red tape and you know, business rates, VAT, all these kind of things. And other European countries give their hospitality industry a real a real help, and we don't seem to do that as much.
You, the two of you set off on your tandem. Tom, we saw a little bit of footage of you. You've cycled before together around Europe on individual bikes, but you went off together on a tandem this time. How did that go?
It was a challenge, Ben. Yeah, it was a challenge. But we are quite keen cyclists, but we'd never been on a tandem bike. So we thought that would just look a bit more ridiculous, frankly, and draw more attention to what we were doing. I mean, full disclosure, it was very hard work. And we started in Cornwall and Devon, and it's very hilly there. We had quite a nasty crash,
yes,
which, unsurprisingly, is the video that's had the most hits on our YouTube channel, the Thinking Fingers YouTube channel. So you can go and see that and laugh at our horrible crash. But yeah, so it was a challenge. I think what we didn't really anticipate was the consistency of 80 miles a day for 2 weeks straight. We didn't appreciate, and I know you're going to ask, so I'm going to bring it up, the impact on our bottoms,
yes,
which was quite severe. So that side of it was painful. But I mean, the point was we were prepared to cycle 1,000 miles up some very steep hills to places that were incredibly remote. And all anyone who's watching has to do is walk 10 minutes down the road to use their local. And these locals that we visited are hubs of their communities. They are essential for social lives, for people who live in these communities. And we believed that before we set off. But I think when we actually got out there and we saw them and we met these people, it's almost altruistic. It's almost like they're trying to support their communities. And it's critical that we keep this third place in our society alive. We've got our houses, we've got our offices. Where do we go in between? Where do we go to meet people? We're living in an incredibly polarised society at the moment. People have got very strong opinions, but they're only sharing them in their own social media vacuums. Go to a pub, have a conversation with someone who has slightly different views to you, and you might not be quite so rude because you actually have to face them, and start just socialise. It's so critical for our mental health.
yeah.
And I think the government is not really appreciating that this is going beyond just buying a pint. This is about really a lifeline to communities. And if we don't give them some relief, they won't survive.
Well, look, we appreciate you both joining us. I know that you're still both in rehabilitation for the backside.
Yeah.
I'm on the bike today.
They're sitting on
And you're actually, you're on the bike. You're on the bike.
Yeah.
But
It's not
there you
going
go.
well.
You've got to get back in the saddle, as it was. The fact that you had to follow Ben for 1,000 miles and you're looking at his backside made it all the more painful as well, I can imagine.
I'm smelling.
It's a dream. It's a dream, Ben.
But
People pay money for that kind of thing.
I would urge anyone to find your journey on YouTube because it was brilliant. It's great to see you both. Thank you for joining us. We'll let you carry on, and you can carry on enjoying the sunshine in those beautiful pub gardens as well.
Look at that. I mean, that is...
Brilliant. Drayton Court Hotel in Ealing. Wonderful local.
Oh, White Horse in Harpenden. It's a good,
Or the top
it's
of
a
the...
good rugby pub as well, Ben.
There you go. Amazing. Thank you both for joining us. It's that point that the boys make, though, that I absolutely fundamentally think about the pubs near us. My son Sam has just started working at a pub, the Red Cow, where we are.
Yeah, great.
And it's so exciting seeing him behind the bar and part of that community.
Passage.
It's the connection.
My dad, he was so excited about taking his grandson for his first bike, and that was what he was living. He desperately wants to take him, and that's what.
Tell me the spine-tingling excitement.
Totally. And the thing is, it's actually like it's been part of British culture for centuries now, going to the pub. And I think that the boys have alighted on a key point, which is, you know, one of the reasons why pubs are struggling is we're all going to the pub less. But the taxes that are imposed on pubs were designed for a time when they were used much more.
Yes.
And so I think it's time for the government. I think this is true of the whole high street, actually. It's true of shops as well. But at a time when they are struggling more because lifestyles have changed. And of course, we need to encourage people to use their local pub more. But it's also, you know, we shouldn't be taxing these businesses in a way that was designed for, say, the 1970s, where there was just much more foot traffic to pubs and the high street.
Just every pub, you went to the pub every evening.
Yes.
Imagine not being able to say, you know, your mate out of nowhere just comes up to you and goes,
"It's a lovely day, shall we?"
Imagine that not being possible anymore.
Yeah.
But before all of that, we're discussing more of today's top stories with Tom and Sonia, and we're starting with the huge rise in demand for men's short shorts.
Yes. Before we get into the details of this fashion story, Tom has Begrudgingly? Was it begrudgingly? Not so sure. Agreed.
I think he was quite
Willingly.
Really.
There we go.
Those shorts.
Little nonchalant
We've gone
pocket.
Have you got a tattoo?
Oh, there's a little tattoo. There's a little glimpse of a tattoo. Hold on.
Whoa.
Yeah, before you sit down, little raised.
Show us your tattoo.
Is this? Is that your speech that you made? That people keep quoting
No,
to
it's
me?
really not.
Lads going,
There's narcissism, and then there would be that.
Immortalising your own words on your body.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
How comfortable are you right now?
Oh, right now, a heart rate of about 210, and I'm not comfortable at all.
I tell you what, Sonia,
Tom, you've got
is,
great legs.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's very
great
content.
legs. Long, lean, athletic. What's not to like?
Well,
Are we ready?
maybe it's me and Harry Styles.
Sonia, are we ready for a thigh guy summer?
We are ready for a thigh guy summer, Ben.
Can you just can you explain? Because as much as Tom looks great in those shorts,
does.
it does feel a little retro. It does
going
feel a
on?
little bit sort of
No,
80s footballer-esque.
not retro at all. It's back. It's back in force this summer. So apparently 2025 is the thigh guy summer. And the new trend that's really in is men wearing ever shorter shorts, revealing a little bit more of the tops of their thighs. I have to say, it's a trend I can really get behind.
Good. New statistics by M&S say 66% of men reported liking the short shorts trend, while 76% said they feel more body confident than ever before. Would you be one of those, Swarbrick?
Just having a slight out-of-body experience. Yeah, if you want. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think apricots or peach is an odd colour.
I know. I think it's very
Oh,
summery.
the neon
wow.
is great
Oh, no.
on you with your tan legs.
I mean,
Slow-mo.
for me, it's a little watermelon sugar right there.
Listen, if you've got to go for it, you've got to go.
Are you going to be doing the thigh guy summer, Ben?
Thigh guy summer's an attitude. It's not even just a showing of the thigh. It's an entire vibe. Do you know what I mean?
It
It's
is
thigh guy
retro.
summer. It's retro. You've got to have a beer on the go.
I thought you had another speech for us then about it's a movement.
It is a movement.
I love a short. I will love a short. I'm not sure I'd go that short unless it was swimming shorts and I was swimming. I struggle a little bit when they're too sort of
Do you?
hot pants.
You really struggle?
Yeah.
In what way do you
I've
struggle?
got quite big thighs.
Oh, do you?
Muscular thighs. I think having lean...
Like a good rugby player.
Exactly. I think having leaner legs makes a difference.
Sparrow legs. Yeah, for us sparrow guys, we're pretty okay with the thigh high.
Pete laughed very loudly.
He was thoroughly endorsing the sparrow leg,
sparrow leg guy.
clearly. So we've got some pictures of some of the celebrities that are making this fashion. I think we've got Harry Styles. I think this is.
Yeah, is this how we've got?
Very
he
casual
can
lean.
carry it off.
Yeah, he's got the
can't he?
lean. Yeah.
Yeah,
Paul Mescal.
could do that.
It's a bit. Do you know what it reminds me of?
That's
It's a
so
bit
sexy.
Alan Partridge sports casual, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Ice white jumper.
See, I
Ice
don't
white socks.
think either of them look as good as Tom.
Oh, thanks.
No, I agree. I like the style, but it also comes down to the Paul Mescal look for me is not something I go for. If you can just use the strap as well, because it's about his shoes. So he's got sort of loafers on. Which
Interesting
so I think he's wearing
sock-shoe
that out.
combo.
And what's with the shirt?
A little
Buttonage going
peekaboo
on.
belly button.
Yeah.
No?
Not for me.
Neon orange is the look to aim
I think-
for.
oh, yeah, I think
Tom
the way
is the
forward.
summer's thigh guy trendsetter.
We are
We have found ourselves our new fashion.
We have
guys.
our icon.
We are taking
Style
calls
icon,
on all
Tom
of the stories
Swarbrick.
that are
All of
piqued
it.
your
Including
interest.
hot pants.
So a little bit later on, if you would like Tom to fashion more, model more fashions, then just get in touch and let us know.
I've heard Speedos are back in.
honestly,
Speedos.
Yeah, mankini.
Have your
Yes,
say.
the mankini.
I just honestly feel like
44. You can scan the QR code and get a picture of Tom in them for free.
I do feel like this is straining. I don't think this would be how. If this were Paul Mescal, he'd have his people be talking to your people. I'm telling you.
I think Paul Mescal would be thrilled that we're sharing his looks.
Although you don't like his shoes, so.
Well, no, I don't. Not that I don't like shoes. I struggle with the way that looks. That for me is not. I
It
wouldn't
really
be
worked
comfortable
for
with that.
some people, but
Totally.
you know.
It's about confidence. Isn't fashion about? That's what you could say to me.
I think if it's going to work for anyone, I think it will for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just fine.
Let's talk about dogs in restaurants
Why wouldn't we?
on another tone.
Yeah.
Martina Navratilova caused a little bit of a stir, Sonia, because she tried to take her little dog into a number of places the other day when she was visiting Wimbledon, and she was refused entry, and she's not happy about it.
That's right. So she was actually trying to get into the Ivy Wimbledon. She comes to Wimbledon every year without fail, Martina does, one of the greatest tennis players of all time. Now, her dog is quite cute, and it is a dog that sits quite well in the handbag. but she was
It's not the
turned...
smallest dog, though. I thought it'd be like one
No,
of those.
it's not teeny tiny, all right. I mean,
Long-haired
it's a
Dachshund.
decent bag for a decent dog, decent-sized bag for a decent-sized dog. So they did say to her, I think, that she could sit outside, but she didn't want to sit outside because obviously if you're Martina Navratilova, it's quite hard to have
In
him in peace.
Wimbledon.
You've got to
In Wimbledon,
During
with, you know, the
Wimbledon.
world's greatest tennis fans, like, flocking to that corner of London. So she decided to go to another Italian restaurant instead. It's raised this, you know, debate, which is, should all restaurants allow dogs inside? Personally, I think it's up to the restaurant. I'm not the world's biggest dog fan, and I think it's really nice sometimes when you've got restaurants that are relaxed about it, but I also think it's nice to have restaurants that are dog-free spaces too. So I sort of think it's up to the restaurant. It sounds like Martina was quite good-natured about it. But, yeah, I wouldn't be in favour of saying that, you know, all restaurants should allow dogs. Just in the same way, I think if some restaurants want to be adult-only as well, I think that's OK too.
She said...
Wait, what?
She could have said, stay outside.
Oh, yes, some restaurants are like, don't welcome children.
Yeah, after a certain time, they will something. Yeah. I could have sat outside.
I obviously don't go to those ones. Obviously with the children.
This, I think, though, Tom, is the interesting line, because that restaurant's a lovely restaurant.
Yes.
Didn't want the dogs to come in. She was saying no one has to share eating space with a dog that is on the floor. Get over yourselves. So did she take it well? Because she was obviously annoyed that she couldn't keep her dog on the floor in a bag, Lulu, while people around...
I'm sorry, in a pub, sort of obligatory to have a dog in a pub.
I love that.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah.
In a restaurant, come on. No one wants to sit there and having been yapped at by a dog if it goes wrong, falling over it, waiters trying to get all the food and falling over the back. No, we don't need dogs in restaurants. Dogs in pubs, for sure.
Exactly. After a lovely country walk, everybody sits by the fire.
There's a lovely pub.
There's a lovely little Labrador.
Opposite that Ivy that she could have gone to. They would be more than welcome to have them inside.
Yeah.
There you go. I think that's right.
I really think it's up to... I mean, some restaurants do allow it, and I've got friends with dogs, and if we're going for dinner together and they're bringing the dog out with them, we always look at where allows it and where doesn't.
And you check,
Yeah, but I think it's very much up to restaurants to set their own policy, and some people don't like it, and I think that is fine too.
OK, let's talk about concerts now. There's a video of someone singing along very loudly in an operatic style at a Billie Eilish concert. It went viral, and people are asking, should there be rules for concert going? Should you be allowed to do that? Obviously, everybody sings along when they go.
I mean, obviously. Yeah.
But should you be able to do that and then, therefore...
Should we have a listen to it?
Yeah, let's I need to hear
I
it,
think
really.
we need to...
Judge the decibel level.
Compelling clip.
OK, fine.
Compelling.
Tom, you look traumatised. No.
What was that?
I don't know.
What was that?
I don't... What do you think?
That's agony, is what that is. That is hours of agony. You can't
seem comfortable.
No.
You can't do
so
that.
We all like to sing along to your favourite songs and bits and
Yeah.
pieces. That seems quite antisocial.
No, I would say that's antisocial. I also think if people really can't sing in tune, they shouldn't be singing either. Basically, not mentioning any names. I just think you shouldn't, like, singing along is part of the fun, but you shouldn't be impairing other people's enjoyment of the concert itself. And, like, singing along as a massive chorus is part of the experience. But when you're doing something that's so standout, either because you're, like, out of tune or because you've got an amazing operatic voice, which has its own place.
Yes.
Maybe at somebody's wedding, you do a lovely little number for them. But it's not really on at a concert, is it? The problem is it's very hard to have hard and fast rules about so much of this just depends on etiquette and, you know, people kind of being
Would you say
considerate
something?
of others.
Would you have said something? Excuse me, do you
I
mind?
actually think I might have done that.
I
think you
don't
might have.
know. I think you would have done. You stopped
Yeah.
someone eating smoked salmon the other day on the tube.
Yes.
Eating smoked salmon on the tube?
They opened...
In this weather?
They opened... Yes, it's peculiar.
They should be banned and
But the thing is,
deported.
I reacted before I realised, because she opened this thing, she was sitting next to me, she opened it, and I smelt it before I realised.
God.
And I turned round and I looked at it, and without thinking anything, I said, are you actually going to eat
Can we
that on the tube?
play guess the tube stop that you've got on now as to which of your passengers was just gently tucking into some smoked salmon?
I was on the
I
on
know.
the overlap.
Just getting on at Knightsbridge, having a quick snack.
It really
yeah?
wasn't Knightsbridge as well, it was somewhere through North London. But
Yeah.
that
You
also
would say
I would.
something,
I think I would, but equally...
You shouldn't have to. Though.
But we've seen, haven't we, more more recently in musicals in the West End, they are now starting to say, please don't sing along to a musical. And we've seen people being removed from musicals because they refuse to stop singing. And actually joining in is part of the fun of lots of those songs. And I get all that.
But not this, not this.
Sort of, I don't know that. Do you know what? I don't actually know the song myself, but it makes it sound kind of horror filmy. Do you know what I think? Like,
it
really
it sounds spooky.
Like she should be a child, like pedalling on a bike.
with a clown face makeup. Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Just
Ideally,
like,
that's
it's
scarier
a
than
hard
sparrow
no for
legs
that,
out.
really. The other
on
thing I
national
find
television.
about gigs, though, that I find quite annoying these days is how many people film them. And the thing is, I'm a hypocrite, right? Because people just like get out their phones, so you end up watching it through a lot of people's phone screens.
Do you, though, Sonia? Do you really?
But my problem is that I'm like, no, I'm not going to film it. I'm not going to film it. I'm going to enjoy the moment. And then I see all these other people filming it, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm missing out. I better film it too. And then you go home and you have like literally 20 videos of 20 different songs, and you never watch them again, and it just takes that space
in 5
on your
years,
plan
10
of the
years,
sky.
you might be reminiscing with your friends. You remember when we went to see Taylor Swift?
Maybe. But you know,
That's
Madonna did have a rule in 2020 when she was doing her gigs. People had to put their phones into a pocket that they couldn't open. It could only be opened by a special magnetic device when they left the concert. And there is something, I don't think you could get away with it, like at a Taylor Swift gig or a Beyonce gig, because people just do want to capture it for social media, and it works for the artist too. And it's not that bad, you're right, Ben. I'm just being like a boring old fogey.
You should have filmed your salmon shaming, is what you should have done.
At the same time.
Yeah, you should have, thrown
She was
out.
very polite about it. She said, I'm really sorry. I said it just really smelled. We're a confined space, a really hot day.
And a hot
Was it a
tube as
packet,
well.
like a packet of smoked salmon?
Did she squeeze a lemon too?
Yeah.
No, it was honestly... It was,
Bit of bread and butter. Spreading it out.
She just started laughing. I said, I'm sorry, but that... And there was a few... And as she got off, she would say, I'm off on the next stop. Someone over there said, thanks for saying that. That absolutely smelled disgusting.
I think that about music on the... I'm sorry, but music on trains. Playing music out your phone on the
Have we got time for one more story? All right, we're just going to do one more story. We'll stop talking about me.
About smoked salmon.
Britain's most hated
tube journeys.
motorway has been crowned.
I don't think there's ever dispute.
There's no doubt. Yeah, there's no
Are we all in
doubt.
agreement?
Well, we're in agreement, but I don't think we're in agreement with the British public.
Oh, what's your most hated?
M25, without a doubt.
Junction 6 to junction 16 of the M25
World's
absolutely
biggest
If you
car
have to
park.
experience the London Orbital, it is a pain. However, for those who don't, the M1 has been described as Britain's most hated roadway. M1 has 48 junctions and carries up to 140,000 motorists every day.
Is it the A1M that goes into a single carriageway as you head
Eventually,
north?
yeah.
And that's an absolute... Once you get stuck behind a tractor, you're gone.
It's
very partridge,
it was the M1's 65th birthday last year, Sonia.
Was it?
Wow.
What did you do?
I mean, like,
into
let's
traffic.
throw a
Did you?
party,
Yeah. Just around the Luton junction, it's always traffic.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is
it's
it?
too heavy. And as
Man,
one of the said, they've been widening the M1 for 25 years and they still haven't finished it.
Yeah, but
You're fit 50, man, but you're showing your age here. They haven't widened it for 20
I
decades.
should have put my shorts on and gone Fly Guy Summer. Then I'll be more down with the kids. Thank you both.
Thank you, guys.
They're going to be back a little bit later on, so do keep sharing your thoughts.
Part 3, man.
Whatever
The
we've been
difficult
talking
part
about.
3. What are we going to do now?
The difficult third album.
I'm sure we'll find something.
I don't know, but I'm not
We'll
doing it.
continue
My
to talk
people are
about
gonna-
Tom's legs. That's
people
what
are gonna
we'll
talk
do.
to your
That's what people
people.
should be phoning in about.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Bye, Guy Summer.
Thank you for
Still to
visiting
come.
our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.